Hello, everyone. I'm glad to see you here with us today. If we're watching this app growth panel on demand, you're also welcome here. While we are connecting, please share with us who is watching us from where. And yes, submit your responses on chat. We are very curious to see and hear where you are coming from here. Just drop your city and country. Hello, everyone. So Berlin was so marvelous. All right, even Singapore. Nice to see such a multicultural audience today. All right, and while we are also seeing who is from where, let's also discuss an interesting question. We have two movies today that have been making waves recently, Barbie and Oppenheimer. If you had to pick just one as your favorite, which would it be? Oppenheimer. All right. Okay. Anyone else? Barbie or Oppenheimer? Personally, I prefer Barbie. All right. All right. Wow. Okay. Thanks everyone. And right, let me once again welcome everyone here. We're happy to have you here at the SplitMetrics App Growth panel. And today's topic is custom product pages on the App Store from ideas to results. Let me present myself. I'm Diana, and I'm a customer success manager here at SplitMetrics. I will be your host for today. And as you know, SplitMetrics is a global company offering an ecosystem of enterprise-grade products and services. We serve as a growth engine for mobile businesses. And we enable search ads partner with a dedicated team of 150 and more experts. We live and breathe with mobile app growth. And you can even say we are obsessed with making our customers successful. So yeah, that's probably why we are top world app. That's probably why top world apps and game publishers choose to grow with SplitMetrics. And all right, now I want to present our panelists, and please join me in welcoming them. And the first panelist I'm going to present will be Anton Tatarinovich, Senior ASO and Apple Search Ads Manager at Realetics. Welcome, Anton. Do you want to present yourself?
Yeah, hi everybody, I'm Anton. Thanks for having me. And yeah, looking forward to the discussion.
Thank you, Anton. All right. We are really lucky to have you here. Thanks for joining us. And let's go further to Marina Orobets, Apple Search Ads Manager at Healy. Hi, Marina.
Hello, everyone. I'm glad to be here with you today. I've been working as a marketer for 9 years now, and as for last 6 months, I've been working as an Apple Search Ads Manager at Highly. So I'll be glad to share our insights with you today.
Nice. Thank you. It's an amazing and a very extensive experience. I'm looking forward to hearing your insights later. All right. And then next speaker is Alexandra Barkar, ASO Manager at Healy. Please give Alexandra a round of clapping hands here in the chat, naturally. Hi, Alexandra.
Yeah. Hi, guys. Thank you for having me today. I'm really excited to share how we run tests for custom product pages at Highly. So I'm happy to be part of this discussion. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Awesome. Then basically, our last but not the least speaker is Anna Perhanovich, Customer Success Manager at SplitMetrics. And yeah, please extend your warm welcome to Anna in the chat.
Thank you, Diana. Hi, all. Yes, indeed, I'm Anna, and not just at SplitMetrics, but I'm a customer success manager at SplitMetrics agency. And my role is to help our clients to come up with a viable mobile growth strategy and implement it with the help of our agency's experts and expertise. Thanks for having me.
Sounds really convincing. Thank you, Anna, for joining us. Well, we are really honored today to have such a talented group of experts. I'm sure your insights are already eagerly awaited by the audience. And just before we start, I'd like to cover a few housekeeping items. And first, today, of course, we have prepared a set of questions. However, we also value your participation, and we encourage you to actively submit your questions and comments in the chat, just like you're doing right now. Both our seasoned panelists and our dedicated team of experts in the chat will be happy to provide insightful responses. And well, in case we are unable to address all of your questions during the session, of course, rest assured we will follow up with the responses via email later. And just for you to know, we are recording this session, so we will be sending it to all the registrants shortly after the panel. And finally, to enhance the interactivity and depth of the session, we've prepared a set of polls. So they will be introduced at various stages of our discussion. We just encourage you to take a moment to share your responses and witness the real-time results. And with this, let's open today's discussion and let's go to the first topic. So basically, at SplitMetrics, we've discovered that the custom product pages development process often sparks numerous questions around hypothesis development, ideas prioritization. My first question to our dear panelists will be, how do you approach the custom product development process at your companies? And I'd love to hear Anton first. Can you share your perspective with us?
Sure. Thanks. Great question. I think the way we approach custom product pages and the way I kind of see that working in general is you really want to start with a channel, meaning like where the traffic would actually be coming from, right? Like the whole idea of a custom product page is to build that, I guess, more seamless user experience, user journey from the ad to the product page to then the product itself. So I would first actually look at the traffic source, right? You can look at the best performing creatives on Facebook, if there will be Facebook, kind of the highest spending campaigns, best performing creatives, and basically start from there. And then essentially what you want to do is take some of the clues of what converted the user in the original traffic source and translate them to your product page somehow. It can be, using the same tone of voice or some design clues, or maybe trying to convey the same message or like value proposition you did. Basically, the idea behind that is if something converted the user, like if something made them stop wherever they saw the ad, theoretically, they would also expect the same sentiment from the product page. And so your conversion rate should go up and the total performance of the UA campaign should improve as well. So I would say start with a channel. And then in terms of coming up with hypotheses, maybe somebody else would add to that. But roughly speaking, there's kind of you can use custom product pages to either align with a particular target audience. So that can be based on gender, location, it can be for retargeting. It can be, as I said, to align with a campaign, paid UA campaign, or actually even out-of-home campaign. Like you can do a QR code and lead users to the product page as well. Why not? If that's like in your niche. Or it can be to highlight a certain USP of your app if it's advertised in the channel. Like there's been this example of if you're an e-commerce app and you run ads for like male clothing and female clothing, you can sort of focus on one of those things and basically target it for the users. So that's pretty much, I think that would be my input for that. The most important part, once again, is really look at the original traffic source and see what works there, and try to take the best of it and put in your screenshots for the CPP.
All right, pretty insightful, Anton. Actually, I like your approach, and it sounds like really reasonable. But let's hear what other panelists will have as an opinion in this regard. So I would like to welcome Marina to join the discussion of the question. Do you have any practical recommendations you can share with the audience regarding hypothesis development?
Thanks for your input, Anton. Now let's transition to our background. We utilize different approaches to formulate custom product pages hypothesis. Here is how we build successful hypothesis in our approach ads experience. And first of all, we tailor CPPs to specific ad sets within our advertising campaign. We practice constant testing of new generic keywords, and if a keyword addresses our KPIs and has a scaling potential, we develop a corresponding CPP for it. Then we derive hypotheses from analyzing our competitors' CPPs with the SplitMetrics tool. If we notice a new CPP types gaining traction and bigger share of the competitor's budget, we can conduct tests with CPPs that employ similar approaches. And finally, we gain insights from other networks. For instance, if we come across a new successful creative on another network, we create a CPP based on its messaging or designs. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Marina. Very insightful. Okay, what about Alexandra's take on it? Can you come with any advice on structure of the process within your team?
Thank you for this question. I think that Anton and Marina gave us some answers, and I will try to add more details from my side. So as an ASO manager, I should keep in mind business aims and be able to impact and achieve them. So that's why I rely on a helicopter view for building the workflow. So as a first step, I believe in aligning any CPP's hypotheses and strategies with the objectives. And therefore, I think that app marketers should implement OKR-based hypotheses for CPPs. And with the main goals, the strategy can evolve, optimize, and improve over time. As a next step, which is obviously important, involves close collaboration with user acquisition team. I find ways to collaborate with UA and achieve our OKRs and KPIs. In this process, my goal is to improve app analytics and business sales metrics regarding paid acquisition. And to accomplish this, it's really crucial to make data-driven decisions from the outset. And here I can outline several steps. First step is to identify priority channels for conducting CPP tests. It can be Apple search ads, Facebook, Snapchat. Next, define the improvement goal. You should know what to improve, which audience to reach, and what impact to make. The third step is about formulating a hypothesis and implementation by design team. After that, you should set up the campaign correctly. And of course, make sure that CPP tests are conducted in the correct network conditions. And final step, analyze results and develop hypotheses for new iterations. And in short, I think that collaboration and analytical approach and alignment with overall business objectives are essential elements for successful CPP strategy. Thank you.
Wow, thanks, Alexandra. It's such a structured response, and I think it made everything clear regarding the process. And basically, thank you for your responses. Let's move on to the next question, design tips. But in fact, just before we start, I wanted to ask our event team to launch our first poll because we have something to ask you about your experience with design, and you can review the questions, vote, and now let's had to discuss the design elements. Here I wanted to ask Marina, based on your extensive experience, what design trends and best practices should Apple Search Ads managers consider when designing custom product pages? Can you share anything with us regarding design tips?
Thank you. As we could notice in practice, it's hard to be 100% sure that one design works better than the other. Apple Search Ads managers should test different designs and messages, but I can share that works well in our campaigns. We achieved fantastic results by launching video CPPs for our branded Apple Search Ads campaigns. We saw a 33% increase in install rate, a 41% decrease in CPI, and a 21% decrease in CPT. Therefore, we recommended testing videos in your CPPs. The videos should be super dynamic and show the real user interface on the app, along with use cases. Also, it's essential to align your CPP's message and design with the user search query. It applies to branded, generic, and competitors' campaigns. The approach works best for keywords in specific narrow categories. For example, the text and design for CPP related to local dating will differ from CPPs targeting long-term relationship queries. Yeah, thank you.
Nice. Thank you, Marina. I really like your take on the video, and especially that it should be based on real use cases, real interface. I think it's really important to highlight to our audience. But let's hear what Alexandra thinks on this regard. Can you highlight any trends on your slide, please?
I think that not everything stylish or good looking guarantees success. This is why we run many tests to identify top performing creatives. So based on our experience with CPPs, I have discovered specific visual elements that produce better results. And let's start with screenshots. In my opinion, visual synergy among the screenshot is crucial. Keep it simple, minimalistic, and abstract. And it's gonna keep the focus on the key user interaction points. The next thing is trendy line art and liquid designs. They can add an organic touch to the screenshots, especially when utilizing gloss in backgrounds or near headlines. Also, I think that emojis work well, just like applying mixes of different styles, such as combining UI and UX with hand-drawn illustrations. And the next insight is about the dark mode style, which popular in recent years. It gives a stylish design feeling to the screenshots and CPP overall. And we ran a lot of CPP tests on Snapchat and Apple Search Ads with these design trends, and we achieved significant improvements in CR and sales metrics. And I also believe that it's essential to use all available design solutions and options. And of course, videos are no exception. So for videos, minimalism and dynamic 3D animation makes user perception easier. And these recommendations are the result of being bold with experiments. And to make things work, we also aim at building harmony between diverse design forms organically. So that's all.
Right. Okay. Very interesting to hear this. And well, basically, I think we just have to move to Anton, so to hear your take on it. Can you share anything about your design trends and best practices you follow to ensure kind of optimal user engagement, optimal conversion level, and basically just reach the overall success of custom product pages?
Yeah, sure. It's actually interesting hearing that the video performed that well. Me myself, I didn't really test videos for custom product pages specifically, so that's a great use case. I would actually say if you never worked with custom product pages before, probably don't start with a video. The reason being, you probably don't yet know what kind of message or copy or, what kind of treatment would work better. And video is not a type of creative which you can iterate on quickly, like they take quite a lot of time. So they're just operationally more complex. So you would probably be better off, at least for the start, kind of starting with just screenshots. Speaking of screenshots, I would say when you create a custom product page, it's sometimes enough to just have one custom screenshot. That's it. Have the rest of your product page pretty much the same as the default. I would say when you work on screenshots, do no more than 3 custom screenshots, and the rest can be from your main page, because even if user comes to the custom product page highlighting a specific feature, they still would probably scroll, some of them would scroll through the rest of the screenshots to see what else the app is about. So I would say, yeah, if you customize them, 1, 2, maximum 3 screenshots would be enough. Design-wise, I'm not sure I can share any kind of trend from my end. The reason being, custom product pages don't live in isolation. You already have your main product page and you already have your traffic source, right? So it should be a mix of those. It should be really relevant to the rest of your current screenshots and to your current product page, while also trying to leverage something from the, let's say, from the, I don't know, Instagram ad or reel, whatever, which leads to that custom product page. So it really should be a mix. I think it's kind of hard to be prescriptive about what really works or what doesn't, because it's not necessarily about the design, it's about the consistency of the message and how relevant that is to the user you're trying to target. So yeah, I would say that. And then in terms of, I guess, design and what can be customized, like how granular you can go, it really depends on your resources. You can start as simple as, usually the way screenshots are created, you have your main kind of the headline on the first screenshot or maybe on the second. Sometimes it's enough to just rewrite that headline. If you're, in our case, if we're a fitness app with a headline just talking more generally about fitness, or just saying that we have a lot of users in our app, but we create a custom product page which will be targeting users looking for a specific type of workout, we can just rewrite that headline with that in mind, right? Or if your best performing ad, again, in our case, let's say, I don't know, many fitness apps have those ads where it's before and after, before you start working out with us and after. If that's your ad, which generates a lot of traffic, which has big spend, which is one of your sort of creative hits, then it might be a good idea to bring that imagery to one of the first screenshots. So I'm really here on the side of just trying to establish that consistency, and design-wise, it really depends on what you already have, what kind of brand guideline you have, and what that initial creative in the main traffic source looks like. If it's Apple search ads, then it's probably you just need to align with whatever your current product page is, and just make sure that the user's search query is somehow reflected in one of your first screenshots in a visible manner. So yeah, that would be my take.
Cool. Thank you so much, Anton. Seems like you prefer the quality to the quantity, and yeah, I think I really follow it. So seems like we have a lot of insights regarding design tips for custom product pages. So let's consider this question closed, but let's see what we voted in the poll, because we have our results ready. And yes, please, the team, bring us the results. So visuals and color scheme. All right, so not even call to action, so social proofs won in the poll, but still visuals and color scheme. Nice, good to know. Thank you. But well, okay, we have another poll ready, and we are going to discuss custom product pages use cases. So at this point, we are going to vote for different use cases that each of you implement custom product pages for. So yeah, please take your time to vote, and let's discuss the question with our dear speakers. And right, so this time I want to bring Anna here. Could you please share your best practices for creating Today tab ads and search results ad variations based on custom product pages?
Sure. Thanks for the question, Diana. As many might already know, there was a shift beginning in July 2023 concerning Today tab ads. Previously, these ads were characterized by the rich graphic elements geared towards enhancing brand awareness. And feedback from our clients who tested this format at the time confirmed a clear correlation between the running of Today tab ads and a surge in branded searches. The new format is simplified to feature just the app icon, name, and subtitle that you entered in App Store Connect. This transition highlights this shift from brand awareness towards performance marketing, while still keeping brand awareness in the mix. So speaking of the best practices we follow as SplitMetrics agency, first of all, polish your app icon, name, and subtitle, so it speaks directly to the users you are trying to acquire. Make sure you follow Apple Search Ads guidelines. For example, images and tags contain info on pricing, rankings, app awards, phrases like game of the day, app of the day, as well as such things as guns, weapons, graphic violence. But it's kind of obvious to me, but still, sometimes we get rejections just because of that. Try to stand out by highlighting killer features of your app main purpose. Try visually appealing, engaging elements in your icon. An interesting detail that is often overlooked is that currently the Today tab will be juxtaposed against a background that's auto-generated based on the color palette of your app icon. This can impact the legibility of your ad, so it's really important that you pay attention to the selection of colors for your icon to make sure that it enhances the legibility rather than detract from it. Also, your Today tab will still need a custom product page as a tab destination. And this is yet another opportunity to test different versions of your product page and see what brings the highest ROI. So for example, you can try focusing your messages on different value propositions, experiment with different tones of voice, localize your creatives based on your audience's background, cultural background, and finally, and perhaps most pivotal, avoid the language barrier, as a significant segment of users might be averse to engaging with copies that are not in the language they're comfortable with. So what we have to do is just translate our ads and CDPs to languages our audience speaks. And all in all, we should remember that the more we align our strategies with the pulse of our target audience, the more authentic and effective our outreach becomes. But that's, I think, the most important thing to keep in mind at the end of the day.
Wow, so much to remember. All right, essential that we have guidelines written, and nice to know that custom product page is used as a destination of Today tab. Well, so let's also hear other speakers' take, and I wanted to invite Anton again to share real use cases within Freeletics. Can you share with us how you use custom product pages?
Sure. So for us right now, we've been mostly using custom product pages with Apple Search Ads. So kind of specifying the messaging on one of our first screenshots to the user sentiment in terms of like what they're searching for. You know, the type of workout, where do they want to work out. So there's been that. I can go into more detail about how we sort of select that, but I think we'll have a discussion a little later on like ASA and custom product pages integration. So maybe we'll hold off on that. The second use case is obviously with Facebook. We haven't been doing much with it yet, but we're actively right now actually working on figuring out what kind of a custom product page would would benefit us the most. And that goes back to what we discussed at the very, very beginning. Like, we're actually looking at our kind of largest spending campaigns, best performing creatives, and trying to identify the sort of the best candidate, like where can we get, where that potential conversion rate improvement would be substantial enough for us to, to continue investing in that. So yeah, I would say for us, it's Apple search ads and ads on Meta. Yeah, I would say that. We did not really, I was thinking about using custom product pages as a bit of a workaround instead of like PPO on the App Store, so instead of A/B testing, but I didn't really do that yet because, I mean, PPO is far from perfect, but A/B testing with custom product pages has also like quite a lot of negatives. The main one being that it's actually not free. But then there are other, like, I think, considerations about that. So yeah, Meta, Apple search ads, for us, that's that right now.
All right. It's also cool to know that you have your proper approaches towards testing CPPs. So you prefer testing by iterations. All right. Okay. Let's hear what Marina is thinking about this and what use cases she has within Highly. Can you share any tips for measuring results and how you basically process the improvements?
Yeah, thanks. Let's begin with our major tip. As Anton said earlier, do not compare custom product pages and default page results. Users with different iOS versions and phone models see them. So that's why CPP almost always performs better than the default version. The only appropriate way to test CPP in Apple Search Ads is through sequential tests with equal conditions. In particular, it's critical to provide the same bits, duration, and budgets. For Highly, user activity is high on weekends and decreases midweek, so that's why we run tests for at least 7 days to cover user activity dynamics as a whole. And let's go to the next one, my tip. Before the test launch, you have to define the winner criteria, determine the desired event count for installs, registrations, or purchases that a CPP should achieve. And this way, you can say that the test results are reliable. And if to talk about our next tip is, I also suggest not starting a test for a new CPP on ad sets with large budgets. If you can, begin by trying out the CPP on smaller, similar group. The important thing is to have enough CPP's impression to evaluate the test results. For example, if you want to test a new CPP for a brand campaign in the USA, it's better first to try it in another English-speaking countries. Just make sure that your app has the right localized version for this test. And that leads us to the final tip. Once you get a winning CPP, you have to scale it. In Highly, we apply it in other campaigns and ad sets. Also, we launch it on other networks. Thanks.
Nice. Thank you so much, Marina. So structured. It seems you have such an extensive experience there. And well, I think that at this point, we can see what the audience thinks, and let's just bring in the results of the poll and see what won. All right. So most of our audience prefer to showcase specific app features, so basically break down keywords by different different features and different keyword themes. Seems natural. I think in the reality, it's quite common case. If you dear speakers have anything to add here, anything to comment, feel free. Is it anything you probably did not expect to see or was pretty much obvious?
I think to me, pretty much obvious. I think usually like the two biggest use cases indeed are like either specifying to a specific audience or showing a separate feature you're promoting and want to highlight. So yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Okay. Then let's move on. Okay. Oh, sorry. Anna wanted to comment on something. She just raised hand and I almost moved on without listening to her. Yes, please, Anna.
Yeah. Just really a short comment and an interesting observation that a solid group of people use CPP as an A/B testing tool, which is interesting idea. However, we should remember that sometimes the behavior of organic users and paid users may differ, and it can be so different and even contrasting that we always should keep in mind what results we apply to our default screenshots. But that's just an insight from our experience working with both organic and paid traffic.
Thank you, Anna. It's great and as an addition to the topic. Well, then it's time to move on to the next question about ASO and specifically use cases of custom product pages for ASO, strategies, testing approach. And now I wanted to bring Alexandra here so she could share with us how custom product pages contributing to ASO strategy and in particular to the success of your app. Can you share your tips with us, please?
Of course, Diana, I think this is a really good question. Actually, I apply two main strategies for using CPP as an ASO strategy implementation tool. First strategy is using CPPs as an extra testing tool for the ASO needs. And the second strategy is using CPPs as a part of user acquisition funnel. Let me share more details about these two cases. So when I say that we use CPP strategy for the ASO needs, I mean that it helps us make a decision about quality and value of new screenshot pack. We use CPPs when we have lack results from store listing experience in Play Store and product page optimization in App Store. And CPPs can also show how screenshots updates can affect key metrics. And we run tests on paid networks, mostly for Apple Search Ads and Snapchat, and of course, with different test conditions, and of course, in close collaboration with UA managers. Also, for this strategy, I try to test one major hypothesis at a time. In my experience, minor screenshot changes tend to give unclear or similar results. And to overcome this shortcoming, we test screenshots that significantly differ from one another. And the test is successful if the test version outperforms the default store page by key metrics. And by using the strategy for CPPs as a part of user acquisition funnel, we prioritize specific paid networks and analyze their performance. At this stage, we try to identify key metrics that CPP tests should improve. And we can focus here on increasing engagement within different audience segments, attracting new users, building communications on new features and updates. And the key is to create an organic experience and show all the messages and add visuals on your CPP. And the test version is successful if it outperforms performance benchmarks. And all in all, I think that successful CPP tests can improve performance and boost conversion rates. Thank you.
Great to know that there is so much interconnection between what we do on ASA and ASO. Nice. At this point, I also wanted to invite Anton here to the chat, to chat with us on what you believe we should incorporate here, and basically what's your take on incorporating those top performing elements from custom product pages to the app's product page. I can't but ask you, because you, Anton, have an extensive expertise in both ASO and Apple Search Ads. So yeah, please, if you have any comments, we are very welcome to hear you.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so in terms of incorporating, I guess, results. Okay, let me take a step back. Like, if we're talking about ASO and custom product pages, like under ASO specifically, I would probably just mention the same thing as Alexandra did. So you can technically use custom product pages as a workaround of PPO, so for A/B testing, and then the rest of custom product pages use cases where you kind of mix them with, not mix, but when you attach a custom product page to an external traffic source or Apple Search Ads, I would move it, like, I would not classify that as ASO. In terms of A/B testing, it's a little tricky. So first of all, if I would be using a custom product page instead of A/B testing, I would try to mix that with some other data points. So I would only use it as an extra. I would not be using it as like a main source of information for me. Usually I would probably test on Android if you have an Android app with enough traffic. And then if I'm seeing like promising results there, I would try to run an A/B test on a custom product page. That should be warranted though by, like, if it's a really risky change, or if it's a rebrand, or if you have like a really big app, and just, you know, changing screenshots could actually harm it too much. So like, you also need to assess the risk. If it's a small change, you might actually be better off just making the change to the screenshots. Like, you don't need to build that complexity with like A/B testing small changes through custom product pages, which are not even made for A/B testing. If you would still want to run that A/B test, one thing I remember kind of trying to do is basically running an A/B test by connecting a custom product page to Apple Search Ads ad group, which would sort of replicate your organic traffic mix, or at least organic search mix, in terms of having both, you know, brand, non-brand keywords of various sentiment and like various features people are searching for. So trying to create that little copy, like a mini version of your organic traffic, basically, and connect your custom product page to that. As I said, it won't be, I mean, any A/B testing expert will tell you that it's not a reliable A/B test. However, if it's mixed with like a Google Play test and maybe some other test and maybe a PPO test, like if it's one of 3 data points, I would look at it as like, okay, that's interesting. You know, if all of them are pointing in the same direction, we can probably, you know, make that change and not risk too much. So yeah, and then in terms of, I guess, using learnings, yeah, I mean, I guess if you know what works for your main default product page, like when you create a custom product page, try to not sort of remove all of that. You know, if you know that you have a great splash screen, if like photography really works for you very well, like great, keep it on the custom product page. Try to keep the best version of your main product page while somehow, you know, incorporating that little custom element, and that should do the trick, I think. And then also, we're talking just about screenshots, or just one thing, but there's also a promotional text, which you can also customize. So there's just a little extra thing where you can actually go really custom. Like, I've never ran that test, but actually would be interesting to see, you know, for traffic, for something like Facebook, where users don't really see you in search, but go straight to the product page. I don't know, like if you want to run a test, try just customizing the promotional text. Maybe you can leave the screenshots the same and just do the promotional text. I would assume it won't have a lot of impact, but I mean, you never know. So also remember that it's not just screenshots, right? You can go even more custom than that.
That's true, Anton. Actually, it's a good addition about promotional text, because in my experience, very often advertisers forget about this, thinking it's something that is not that important and would like make little impact, but it's always nice to test and see how it goes. So yeah, good to have you here and actually hear about this, because I guess our audience always have something new. Have known anything new about A/B testing, about the connection of ASO and ASA, but in fact, we've always spoken about ASA and ASO in regards to custom product pages. But our next question would be rather about other channels, like, are custom product pages impactful in driving campaign performance across other UA channels beyond the above-mentioned two? And I guess here, Anton, you also have something to add. Would you like to share anything about Facebook and maybe other channels where you have experience in running custom product pages?
Yeah, as I said, so right now our main one where we kind of did the most work is Apple Search Ads, but with Facebook, we see way more potential because I can't speak for everybody, but I think roughly speaking, like Facebook accounts for a larger percentage of your ad spend, right? So as a function of that, the potential impact you could drive is also super substantial. Yeah, I can't speak to other traffic sources, but with Facebook, we see a lot of potential. As I already said, we're trying to go, so the way we try to structure that work is to select where we spend the most money and we see the most potential in terms of like improving our download rate on the App Store, such that upstream we start seeing like really positive results, and basically a lower cost of user acquisition. So yeah, one thing I would say, I think from the creative standpoint, and also kind of tying that back to what Marina said before about the video, that they saw video performing really well. If one of your main, best performing ads is a video ad, let's say on Facebook, right? Especially if you're a game, where it's a lot of, kind of UI and I don't know, various kinds of animations to show. If you have the resources to somehow translate that video to the custom product page video, sounds to me like a really strong hypothesis to try and test out. One last thing I would say, I think there's also in the chat, I see a lot of people saying like, how do we test custom product pages? Like, how often do we need to change them when we test them? And people in general tend to talk about custom product pages as like similar to like just regular A/B tests on the App Store. For me, custom product pages are not a test tool. They're like an optimization tool. They can be pretty static, meaning that if, let's say on Facebook, you have an ad which works really well for like a year and it accounts for a large share of your ad spend, that custom product page connected to that ad can also be static. You don't need to change it. Like as long as you are happy with the improvement, as long as you know that your regular default product pages conversion rate is X and custom product page converts at, I don't know, like 1.5x or 2x. And if you're happy with that, just leave it running, and maybe focus on what else you can do. Like it's not that you need to change custom product pages as often as you can. As long as you're happy with performance, just leave it, and then you can change it when either your main product page screenshots are changing. So if you have a big rebrand, obviously you want to change what you're showing on the custom product page, or when you have a change on the traffic source side. But if those elements are static, the custom product page can stay there as well, probably without, without a lot of changes made to it. So yeah.
Nice, very insightful, Anton. You actually answered so many questions of our audience. So I guess everyone will leave this webinar with so many insights, and it's not all. Actually, I wanted to ask Marina if Marina want to share anything about this with us. Please go ahead, and you maybe also used custom product pages and other channels and have something to share.
Yeah, Diana, thanks for asking that. I would like to share our experience with you. Custom product pages showed great results when we tested them on Snapchat, TikTok, and Facebook. We have achieved impressive results. We increased install conversion by 90% and reduced install cost by 50%, and making overall customer purchases lower. So, and moreover, CPPs help us scale specific user segments acquisition. If you want to acquire a specific user segment based on gender, interest or behavior, a CPP can enhance the interest of this user segment to your app. So, in addition, if you have a complex product with different user scenarios, create a separate CPP for the most crucial features. These strategies can elevate your conversion rate and drawing in more of your desired audience. And another approach is that we prepare and simultaneously launch CPPs and creative sets that may be combined in various messages or designs. This approach let us test not only CPPs, but also new creatives during the full user journey. And last but not least, synchronization between marketing managers from all our networks is a key. Information among managers should spread quickly if we want to scale successful concepts. If a CPP shows good results on one network, it should be immediately tested on another one. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Marina. Very insightful too. All right, and then let's wrap it up for today's discussion. And I would like to express our gratitude to both our panelists and, of course, our dear attendees for the active participation and engagement throughout the session in the chat. We've had so many questions, so many answers. Really nice to hear your input here. And well, let's actually bring home all those insights and level up our work with custom product pages, level up our strategies. But before we go, let's launch our final poll and to see your feedback on the session. And of course, we have a lot of questions that our speakers would like to answer. And let's start with the question: what KPIs do you track to measure the effectiveness of CPPs? Do you want to comment it, Anna?
Yeah, I can take that question, as we work with different clients since we're an agency. So each client has their own KPIs and their own strategies for CPP development. So of course, at the end of the day, it comes down to one sort of approach that we use generally to assess the effectiveness of the CPP. So the first metric that indicates that the CPP has actually had some effect is obviously TTR, or tap through rate. However, it's not just the TTR that we're interested in, but also download rate, because sometimes it can happen that your tap through rate can improve, however, download rate can stay the same, or I guess it's even possible that it can go down. So these are top of the funnel metrics that we look at in the first place. However, most importantly, we keep an eye on how the CPP improved the conversion rate, be that conversion into trial, subscription, purchase. In other words, how the improved TPA tells us if the CPP was effective. Of course, sometimes it happens that TTR and download rate improve and CPA stays the same. And that just, it may seem that your custom product page is great and it works. However, at the end, it doesn't bring you any additional revenue, no additional target events. So we cannot really say that it worked, judging by the bottom of the funnel. In this regard, I would just add that working with custom product pages is really a way to influence the top of the funnel. So even if you have the most successful custom product page, super TTR that's above the benchmark, amazing conversion rate, however, no matter how many users we bring to the product, they still don't convert within the product. It is something the developer should have a look at and work with, things like onboarding or paywalls, enhanced UI, UX. So all these things are telling that it's not the top of the funnel that has troubles, but something within the product that should be taken care of. So that's just one more thing to keep in mind when assessing the effectiveness of a custom product page.
Wow, so many factors to assess. Nice that we have not only a KPI to look at, but a lot of factors at the same time. So, right, and maybe Marina can answer the question about any best practices for localization of CPPs for different markets.
Yeah, thank you for this question. And I want to share some strategies for customizing custom product pages. When it comes to localizing CPPs for different regions, here are top key tips, what you can use. The first one, speak their language. First and foremost, make sure you are speaking your target market's language, translate your CPPs correctly, and if you can, get help from native speakers or experts to make it sound natural. The next recommendation could be think local. Incorporate visuals that hit home for your audience. Show images that resonate with their surroundings, landmarks, and people. The next one is keywords matter. Tailor your CPPs with keywords that are popular in each region. This way, you'll boost your app chances of showing up and relevant searches. And next one could be design flexibility. Your CPP design should be adaptable. Different languages can take up more or less space, so keep that in mind, and you need to make smooth visuals for you. And remember, it's not just about translation words, it's about speaking the language of your audience to create a meaningful connection. Thank you.
It sounds so warm-hearted, Marina. Thank you. You really care about your audience. Right, and I believe we can take one more question for discussion. What are some common mistakes and pitfalls to avoid when creating CPPs? Alexandra, probably you can share your insights into this.
Actually, I love this question because it's pretty good to learn from someone's mistakes. And what can I tell? So first thing, don't launch a costly CPP creation strategy if traffic acquisition is not a priority for you. And if you don't run Apple search ads or any other paid traffic, you don't need CPP right now. And also, I think if you don't have a significant ad budget, CPP is something that can cause contradictory results. Also, the second thing, don't be afraid to make bold changes for the design part, but also don't rely on a CPP that has an overly cluttered design. And I think the last one, decide carefully on next steps, hypotheses, iterations. For this, you should analyze data correctly. And remember that there is differences between paid networks. That's why I believe it's so important to develop a proper setup for various traffic sources and have an analytical approach. Thank you.
Thank you to Alexandra. Very nice to hear this. All right, then huge thanks to all of our panelists and attendees for the time today, for all the insights, for this valuable information. And I wish everyone a wonderful rest of the week. Thank you so much. Bye. Take care.